I got to think about all the people I love.
Hello everyone, this is Matt from CVG and I'm here with James Jarvis, who recently went to Paris to see Watch Dogs.
Hello.
Now, we're going to sit through this video and pick out some of the biggest points in it, and it's all looking pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking really good. The demo we saw was on, they said next-gen hardware, which I'm assuming to be PS4, and this footage you're seeing is the same footage that we saw. A very early thing to point out is it has got Xbox buttons in it, but that is because it was running on a PC with an Xbox pad plugged into it. So it's not like 360 footage that we're seeing here. This is
brilliantly
next gen.
Confusing.
Yes, very confusing. But
and what do we think? I mean,
it's really impressive. It looks really good. I think the thing to remember is that as it goes through this footage, all the stuff that's happening is happening like it's so dynamic. There's loads of people in the world. They're all going about their daily lives. There's loads of cars and traffic and stuff, and the draw distance is pretty big. You can see quite a long way.
It's a good point, actually. You know, this isn't an FPS. It's a sort of a living, breathing world.
Yeah, everything's happening around you, and there's no sort of lag or frame dropping or anything. It's nice. It's really good, smooth experience. You can see that leaf moving.
Yeah,
like that
excellent
kind of
leaf physics.
That kind of stuff is your next gen level of environments. You've got that. You've got the wind. You've got real rain, which we'll come on to and see a bit later on.
And from what you saw from stuff like that, was it actually feeling like a living, breathing world, or did it feel like a simulation?
It definitely feels like people are there and like things are happening around you, and it's not, and you're just sort of existing in that world rather than sort of the world changing to like as you pop into it, like things start happening. It does feel like everything's happening.
That's cool.
All the time. And we didn't get to play it. I should say that we were watching another man play it.
Right.
But from what we saw, it looked really good. If we just get onto this bit here, you can hear music playing in the background, and there's a really cool thing they have in this game where you use your phone, like it's like a smartphone you get, like you do in everyday life, and it has apps on it and everything like that. You can't make any phone calls.
Right. Who uses their phone for that anyway?
Well, exactly. Which is quite weird, because in the game there's loads of signs and posters with phone numbers on scattered around, and I was like, oh, can you use your phone to make phone calls?
No.
Like, no. You can't. But you can use your phone to when you're listening to music and stuff, you can scan it using one of the apps, which is called SongSeek, which is a bit like Spotify and SoundCloud and all of that kind of thing. But you can then tag that music and download it to your phone, so you can play it a bit later on when you're walking around.
Right.
Or you can use that song to throw it to other devices at other shops. Say if they're playing jazz, you can go, don't like playing jazz, I'll put on that song I heard earlier.
Amazing. So the world is your jukebox.
Yeah, essentially.
Nice.
We're just going into a shop here, and Aidan's going to buy some stuff.
This is something we haven't seen anything of before, and I'm probably unusually excited about the fact that you can buy stuff, but it's all presented quite nicely. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
what are you buying there? A watch?
I think he's selling a watch which you'd get from taking off victims or muggings and things like that. You can just go in and sell your things for cash to buy things that you need, like hardware and ammo. So you're like Robin Hood, really. You're sort of taking from the bad to buy guns. To buy all the guns.
Just like Robin Hood did.
Yeah, there's loads of guns in the game. I think they said like over 30. And you get your normal sort of shotguns, machine guns, sniper rifles.
Is that a big part of it from what you saw? Because we saw like a bit of combat, but the thing that intrigued me was the sort of the underbelly of it all. You know, the kind of sneaking and then knocking people out with coshes and stuff. But do you think it's going to ramp up in a big way? You're going to get big sort of combat set pieces?
I think it has to eventually. Like you'll have to go and take down some big operation, I'd imagine, with all your guns and stuff. But I think the hacking side of it will play quite a big part, as well as the guns. I'd imagine you could do all the missions quite stealthily if you wanted to, without a lot of shooting. But the option's there, and you know, if you're given a machine gun and everything in a big open world where cars are driving about,
you're going to let rip.
The thing that you're probably going to end up doing is shooting all the cars.
With that in mind, because obviously it's a little bit of an unusual concept with so many different elements to it, is there anything that it particularly reminded you of, or is there anything you think it resembles?
Well, this bit here we can see Aidan going into one of the CTOS headquarters, which act a little bit like the outposts in Far Cry.
Right. Do you know what that stands for?
It's called the Central Operating System. So the T is
it's just not part of it.
Not part of the thing at all.
Just sounds cool.
Yeah, CTOS is better than OS.
Okay.
I guess.
Because central abbreviated is definitely not CT.
No. But yeah, that controls almost every part of the city's technology and holds key information on all the city's residents. So this is one of the headquarters that controls all that information. And you have to go in and hack this central thing to give you access to that district's information. So you can only get information on people in that district once you've hacked one of these like installations.
Now this absolutely fascinates me because I guess I'm just a voyeuristic nutter. But the from what we saw in the trailers of the bits of information it was throwing up about potentially everyone, what impressions did you get of that from what you saw?
I think it will be really good. There's loads of different things that come up on the people. I don't think, from what I saw, that those things are going to be persistent in the world.
Okay.
So you'll get, when you're playing it, you'll get to see all the things pop up, but when you play it again, they might not necessarily be the same people.
Okay, so the same man might not be a pro-lifer every single time that you steal money from him.
I don't think so.
Okay.
You also, I had an interview with the creative director, and you can't sort of follow someone around in their daily lives and just spend the whole game wandering around people. Like, there'll come a point when the people will just sort of go in a shop and not come out or something, you know, like there has to be a cut-off point.
Yeah, that seems fair enough, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah, they said they could do it. Like PS4 does allow them to do that, but that would be all it could do.
Yeah,
like,
it's not really what this is, yeah.
I mean, if you want to make an open world life simulator, then I guess that's
life or stalking.
Yeah,
either's fine.
So yeah, here we can see Adam take control of one of the security cameras. This is their version of tagging, so you can see where all the enemies are.
That looks mega smooth.
Which, yeah, it's a really clever way of doing it, and because Chicago, where this is based, is such a technologically advanced city, like in real life and in this, that it is full of surveillance cameras, and that this is the kind of thing that they use to get around the whole. Oh, how are you going to see inside this building without going in and looking, like using the security cameras and hacking?
That's great. It's nice to have an excuse to see around corners. Most games don't even bother with that. I just noticed on that last bit there as well, talking about it looking next gen, the shadows and especially the trees and the foliage and stuff looks absolutely incredible. Considering this is an urban environment, it looks really, really lush.
Yeah, everything really reacts to the weather as well. Like if it's windy, the trees will shake in the wind, and the rain will move in different directions depending on which way the wind's blowing. And
that is
like that.
Literally what I want from next gen. I want wind in trees.
They were saying that that's basically what PS4 and the next gen technology allows to give them in Watch Dogs. Like the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions will be at its core the same game, and everything will work and it will have the same feature sets almost and things. But the PS4 next gen version gives them the opportunity to add layers of physics and things that they just can't do at the moment. So we saw a tech demo of the wind blowing across different streets, and on current gen it's just like certain directions. It goes in like 8 different directions, and on next gen it can dynamically sweep around cars and around buildings and things, and you can see it circling around stuff.
Amazing. You heard it here first. Next gen is dynamic swirling wind.
That and water. The water looked very impressive as well, and obviously the water will react to the wind as well, so you get really choppy water boat sections and stuff if it's stormy.
I sound like I'm being flippant about that. That is amazing.
It really is, and it really did look very impressive. There's loads of things that happen in the streets, like just things fluttering around and dust going across the pavement and things like that, and it really adds to you being immersed in the city.
Yeah.
So we can see him still going into this complex here, and all of these animations are contextual, so you don't have to press any buttons. He will move and duck and go into cover when you'd expect him to.
Yeah.
So I think that's a nice new next gen thing as well. Like,
it looks it's very seamless, isn't it? That kind of transition from like corner cover to the camera to going back to it. It sort of snaps instantly.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like it's like. I mean, I don't know how, in gameplay terms, that will feel like to play, but it certainly looked like it was a very smooth and easy process to.
Really does, through. Yeah. I love the sort of the wireframes that it's projecting over the world as well. That doesn't seem at all intrusive to me. It feels like it really fits.
Yeah, I think it's just subtle enough to give you a hint that you can do stuff. I mean, I would assume that you don't have to use any of that if you don't want to. And there we can just see him using what they're calling focus.
Bullet time.
Which is, their version of bullet time, which you get for... You've got like a bar I don't know how long that bar will last, but you do get a bar of focus that you can use for shooting or driving or doing anything like that.
Presumably refill it by taking people out silently or something like that.
Possibly, or it just comes up over time.
Right.
I would have thought, but they wanted to put it in there so it was a thing that you'd use in combat, but for something that gave you the sense of that you were this person that could hack into stuff and sort of predict what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's more of a feature to use when you're giving chase to someone, and like we've seen in the previous videos when you're chasing that guy down the alleyway and he blows up that fuse box.
Yeah.
It's more to use it in situations like that rather than to like slow down a massive gunfight.
Okay, so you can sort of weigh up all your options.
Yeah, exactly. To see what's in the environment around you and use that to the greatest effect.
Yeah.
Rather than just going, I'm going to shoot 10 guys in the head.
With that in mind, did you get the impression that you're going to have loads of different ways of doing every single mission in the same way you did with Deus Ex? Like, because the stuff that we just saw there, where he's popping up like a thing to get behind cover, and that feels a little bit like this is the way you should be going. Do you think there's going to be numerous ways through? Are you going to be able to go in all guns blazing, or are you going to be encouraged to take the sort of the cleverest path?
I think what they'd want would be everyone to play it in the way that they wanted to play it. Like I think the world will hold up to you playing it however you want. There's probably, I mean, as with all these things, like, and as we saw in Far Cry, there's really, I mean, there's two ways in. There's stealth, or there's going in and shooting everyone, and there's, you know, a halfway point in between that where you get in stealthily and then something goes a bit wrong,
sees you.
And you have to end up shooting everyone. But all those things have consequences, which we'll see. We saw in the demo that they showed us, if you get a gun out in the street, people will react to it. Like this, Aiden is trained in, like, you'll see him when he uses his phone like that, he always uses it down by his side,
right? And
that's, you know, to make it subtle, and you get people who walk around with it in real life with, like, in front of their face, and you can just look over their shoulder and read kind of stuff. But he's learned how to do all that stuff. Like, if he gets his gun out, he'll contextually hide it behind his back and walk along. That's
definitely something I've noticed, that the animation, everything about the way he moves and the way he holds stuff, he looks deliberately a little bit shifty, and it looks really, really perfect. I think absolutely spot on.
Yeah, and the animations are brilliant. But if he does get his gun out and point it at someone, we heard him do that, and then someone next to him like started calling the police.
Right.
And because he's like tapped into the networks and everything, you can hear that phone call taking place, and then it shows you on the map where that phone call's taking place from. And he ran over to him and just like pointed the gun at him and said, "Put the phone down." And he was like, "Okay." And then the call was like cancelled, and the police didn't come. But if you don't do that, then obviously the police turn up, and you've got like a heat level, and you have to get away from the cops, and that kind of stuff's really nice. Being able to like stop people in the world, you know, pointing you out and stuff. Like we can see here, if you do take control of a security camera, and these guys don't like it, they can just stop you.
Good shot.
Well, yeah, that is pretty good, from a tiny rock as well. But yeah, so you have to be quite careful about you know, where you're activating things and what you're doing and stuff. We can see here, as we've all got at home, turning on someone's Wi-Fi hotspot.
Is that why my internet goes off? Because Aiden Pearce has turned off my router?
Possibly, yeah. Well, he's just gained access to it now, and we'll see. This is how you sort of looking interiors of buildings without going into them.
Right.
So you can turn on a load of Wi-Fi hotspots and then use a device in that house to have a look inside. Like this guy, he can go in, and because the guy's got like a computer and cameras, and you know, everyone's got loads of devices in the house that have got cameras on, that you can go in and sort of have a look around and see what's happening.
And he's there with a mannequin?
Yeah, he's there with a mannequin. He collects action figures.
Okay.
And yeah, he's sort of having a chat with this woman that he's found from a shop.
You've got to practice somewhere. That's the...
yeah, I don't know if he's practicing.
We've all done it, right?
Chatting up or anything like that, but yeah, nice touches like this. So you can see that, you know, it's been reported stolen. He's obviously nicked it from a shop.
That's great.
And now he's having like a weird relationship with it, just in his house.
I can't wait to see how far this goes, and if it's going to be a case of, you know, you're just going to be able to look in someone's house and potentially there's going to be nothing interesting about it, which would also be brilliant. I mean, but that is a fantastic touch.
I think there'll be lots of little things like this. Like, I mean, obviously Chicago's huge and it's got loads of networks and things. And you could go in and look in loads of houses, and I think there'll be a lot of things hidden around the world where you can go in and find little cool examples of people being a bit weird, and then like you say, just mundane things of people just doing normal stuff.
I'd be interested if anyone watching this is from Chicago or has ever been there, if they're getting a sense of it actually looking like the place, because obviously it's a futuristic version. It's not a place I'm familiar with, but it looks like such a living, breathing city that it'd be great if it does actually look like it as well.
Yeah, I think it's quite representative. They've got some big key landmarks in there, I think. From what I could see, the whole of the subway system is also in there, and you can also go on the trains and all. So it's a huge city, and to have it all as detailed as we can see is quite an achievement, really.
Yeah.
I think this is an example here of the more sort of moral aspects of the game, that you're going to have a choice whether to intervene in side missions or not.
Okay.
I should point out that all of the things we're saying here, all of the things we saw in the demo, which is an extended version of this whole sequence, these aren't missions. These are just dynamic events.
Okay.
These things will just happen, and if you're there, then you're there, and if you're not, then fine.
So they're going to potentially be happening while you're not there. I mean, with that in mind, again, do you think that I can't see there's going to be any kind of red-blue bar of kind of good and bad with morality, but is it just a case that you can intervene if you want to, and there are no major consequences for you as a character, or have you not got a sense of that yet?
Not that we saw, but I'd imagine. I mean, he's billed as a vigilante.
Yeah.
He becomes a vigilante. He starts off being really concerned and paranoid about what's going on in his house, and he needs to monitor his family and everything about what's happening, and he needs to keep track of them all the time, and then that expands to him wanting to monitor the whole neighbourhood, and then he wants to monitor the whole city, and he becomes very paranoid about surveillance and stuff. But
feels a little bit Batman in a weird way, that kind of sort of the vigilante element to it.
A little bit.
That really excites me.
Yeah, and they were keen to say as well that he's not like the Batman vigilante. He's not. There's no sense of him working with the cops at all, because it's sort of grounded in reality. Obviously, in real life, if you're a vigilante,
they don't like it.
No, they hate it, and they will. If you start pointing guns at people, even if they're criminals, the cops will come and try and track you down. And that's something that I think this game does really well.
Yeah.
It feels like it is just you on your own.
It's sort of framed against the whole backdrop of corruption, isn't it? And I assume that as you get further into it, that sort of corruption and money and things like that are going to kind of seep into the criminal justice system and things like that. And that also is quite exciting, the fact that it's giving you quite a mature story, really, from the little bits that we've seen. Did you get any impression of that, or were they quite tight-lipped about the story from what you saw?
They didn't really want to go into the story too much, just the background about the character and where he's come from. We did see a screenshot of him with a woman. Yeah,
tell us about the woman.
She's a woman, and she will be helping him.
Okay.
There was hardly any details about her. We saw a picture with her and another guy, as well as Aiden, in a three-way shot.
Yeah.
So obviously he's going to have some help along the way as the game progresses, but aside from that, I don't really know how they're going to feature in the whole storyline yet.
I could be on my own here, but I really like the way Aiden looks, just because he looks like a normal man, and I really like the way she looks as well. They haven't gone, and obviously she's a bit sort of grungy and tattooed and stuff, and that's cool, but they haven't sort of gone out of the way too far to make her look like a video game character. It feels like when you look at sort of the characters and things like Infamous, they just don't look like real people.
Yeah.
Whereas this whole world feels quite sort of on message. I think. Is that something that you felt while you were watching it?
Yeah, I think they've tried to make it as true to real life, obviously with video game elements, as possible. That everyone felt like that they were real people, and everyone, because of all the things that you can do with tagging people and seeing little snippets of their life, it really does add to the whole environment, and you can see that you imagine all that what these people have been doing in the rest of the day. There's loads of things. I wrote down loads of notes somewhere about all the different things that were popping up on the screen.
He literally did pages. You can hear the pages being turned now.
So we've got things like we saw a thing, and it was frequent online purchase porn. Was one of the things. Refuses
nightmare vision of the future where people can know.
Yeah, refuses to recycle, pigeon fancier, celebrity autograph collector, car enthusiast.
Pigeon fancier?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, when you keep pigeons.
Oh, right, okay.
Not like...
right, okay, not in the mannequin way.
No.
Right.
No, it doesn't... Well, I'm sure if you're keeping pigeons, you do love them a bit, but in a
in
purely,
a platonic way.
Yeah.
Like you're just good friends.
But there are loads of those different things, like motivational speaker and that kind of stuff, and all of that gives you, in a weird way, like an instant. Sort of, you make an assumption of that person based on that tiny bit of information, and
they're obviously giving you stuff that cleverly makes you sort of fill in the gaps yourself, which is pretty incredible to us, and something I'm sort of amazed that no one's been clever enough to think of already. But it does sound like it really sort of builds up the world that already exists. Yeah,
and if we carry on here, we can see Aidan going to purchase some of the weapons, and in the background here, if you don't stop, if you don't take care and keep yourself hidden when crimes are happening, eventually people do spot you, and the police will catch up with you.
Yeah.
And we'll see here. I mean, this was a thing that it turns out that they figured out that you've been going around killing people, and you see the man reaching for the alarm button there, very subtly.
Nice.
And then so that's it. And then the police are called, and you have to. Here we can see the rain.
Wow, that is amazing.
Really good. I know the cars react to the rain as well.
Yeah, you can see they look slick.
Like
I have to say, we're probably going to have missed it now, but the T-shirt that the guy in the gun shop was wearing was amazing. It was the Wolf Howling at the Moon T-shirt.
Yeah, it was.
It looks just absolutely rife with tiny little details that make things special, and I might get lambasted for saying it, but this world excites me as much, if not more, as the GTA 5 world.
Yeah, I mean, it does really look very impressive, and you can see here him using the pillars and stuff to destroy the cars of the cops. That
looks incredible. That underpass bit, the way it's lit, the amount of stuff that's going on with the weather effects as well, looks genuinely gobsmacking. And I take back what I said at the start about it not looking like a huge leap. That looked like a massive leap.
Yeah, I mean, it does look, once it's running, it does look amazing. They've had help from Ubisoft Reflections, who did the Driver series,
right, with
all the cars and the driving and stuff. So they've got like 65 cars which have all got different physics and handling and things like that. And Driver, the last one, when you could jump in and out of the cars and stuff, the cars in that I thought were really good. And
yeah. I mean, that does feel it spiritually like there's a huge chunk of that in this. That kind of jumping up into the sky and going back down and stuff. And I thought that was a really good fun game. And this seems like a step on from it.
And in terms of the engine that they're using as well, it's a whole brand new engine for Watch Dogs. They're calling it the Disrupt engine. They've been working on the game for 4 years, but this uses like a load of new processing stuff, and obviously it's helped that the PS4 is built on almost PC hardware, so it's quite scalable, I think. So, but it felt like a really good engine, and they're putting it to really good use, I think, in this game.
Have you got any sense of what any of the stuff on the HUD means there? So we've got like a countdown timer there with a magnifying glass, in which presumably is like how vehemently the police are looking for you and how long you've got left to get away, perhaps.
Yeah,
and
that's
it was red and yellow depending on the severity.
Yeah, there's a search radius on the cops and stuff, and obviously the more open environments you go in with more cameras, the easier they're going to be able to spot you.
Okay.
So you have to sort of get away, and like we can see here, he's opened up, he's gone inside a garage, you shut the garage door behind you, and the cops are like, well, I don't know where he's gone.
Yeah, so you switch car and...
Yeah, or dump the car and then get up onto the roof and evade the police. And it's going to be more... Like, you can obviously get away, but I think it's going to be better because you'll have to get away in a way that you have to in real life. You have to hide and make sure you're out of eye line, and then go into a garage and
be aware of all the things that you use in the game, the security cameras and things like that.
Exactly, yeah, and that's a really cool new technique for escaping the police, and having to think about how you're going to get away and where you're going to dump the car and how you're going to sort of avoid all the surveillance and stuff in the future. It
looks absolutely badass, and having spoken to you about it and watched that preview, I'm more excited about it than ever, and I just want more, and I want it now. Yeah, it's really exciting. I think it's going to be a great game, so you should keep an eye on it for things out in the future. It's coming out in November 21st, I think, this year, on current gen systems. It'll be on next gen whenever those systems get announced as well. So yeah, lots to look forward to. Thanks, James. Can't wait.